to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. We're going to do a quick review today about All Elite Wrestling's third Grand Slam show from the Arthur Ashe Stadium, which was technically their first stadium event. A stadium's just an outdoor arena, but anyway, third time there. And the crowd attendance was a concern. That is definitely a news that's been going around, especially after all the turnstile controversy over the all-in number. But the main thing about this show, though, was this card was pretty stacked. And it was stacked with 5 matches, and it proved to be probably one of the best Dynamites of the year. Again, as much criticism as AEW gets, every time they have one of these big shows, 9 times out of 10, their big shows deliver. So we're going to talk about that in this video. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys that if you like this video, if you like this channel, if you like pro wrestling, hit that like button. And while you're down there, you might as well hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you know when I have new videos on the channel. Let's talk about this video, though. Grand Slam opened up with Eddie Kingston, the NJPW Strong Champion, taking on Claudio Castignoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Kind of interesting that the Ring of Honor World title was, a title for title match against a not really mainline New Japan title, but that doesn't really matter. It's really about the storyline here. Yes, there is a storyline. This long rivalry between Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castignoli. They've had several matches. This is one of the storylines in AEW where it did start out with, and people have criticized this with, there's history somewhere else, and now they're going to have a match in AEW, assuming that most of the crowd knows the history when they don't. Now, they have done a good thing. Even Eddie Kingston mentioned that they had a YouTube video that chronicled the entire history of them, a little bit too long, but they did have that, and there were beats to the storyline that happened in All Elite Wrestling that the fans who are fans of All Elite Wrestling may not have watched Ring of Honor back in the day, or may just been too young to see it back in the day, could understand what the rivalry was about. This match was a lot of fun. We had Claudio and Kingston, as what happens in a lot of Eddie Kingston matches, beating the crap out of each other. Eddie being in his hometown, relatively speaking, of New York. He's a New York guy through and through, so is another guy on the card. Claudio playing the heel very, very well. I also like the thing that they did on this show, and they did it for several matches, where they had the guys in the back coming to the ring, again, feeling a little bit more like the UFC or a boxing match. Where anybody who watches UFC or boxing, mixed martial arts, knows that often, almost all the fights, you see guys coming in from the back out into the arena, and they did that on this show, which I thought was a nice little touch. Hopefully AEW does if they're not going to go the storyline route, they're going to go to the sports oriented route a little bit more, and maybe this is a sign that they're going in that direction. Eddie Kingston does win the match after a lot of crazy moments near the end of this match, where you thought Claudio was going to win, you thought Eddie was going to win, but I think it was pretty much 99% sure that Eddie was going to win this match. He does become dual champion, NJPW Strong Champion, and Ring of Honor World Champion. Eddie Kingston reaching this goal. The climax of this match was heart pumping. The crowd was into it. Everybody was into it. And it's just a great thing to see somebody like Eddie Kingston, a guy that does have issues, but he tries to overcome his issues, not succumb to his issues, as others tend to do and cause problems. Eddie Kingston, I don't do the you deserve it thing, because I think Eddie earned it with all of his years, but you guys can do the you deserve it chance. But I think he definitely has earned this, especially with the work he's done around the world and in AEW. He's the closest thing we have to a modern day Dusty Rhodes in some ways, so I'm kind of happy to see Eddie get this big win. We also on the show had Chris Jericho taking on Sammy Guevara. This match had some interesting impact. The Jericho Appreciation Society dissolved. Sammy's still trying to be Jericho's friend. Jericho kind of a man without a country right now. He lost his friendship with Don Callis, and this match was supposed to be two friends having a match, but they made a lot of allusions to Jericho's match with Shawn Michaels 20 years ago at WrestleMania 19, all the way up to Sammy Guevara's trunks. Now, I have to say there were a couple big botches in this match. Sammy completely missed a kick at one point in time. Jericho stumbled and tripped over himself at one point in time. I will say, though, the finish of this match kind of made up for it. Sammy goes for an inverted 360 splash, and Jericho perfectly times the code breaker. Oh, it looks so good. It looks so good. Jericho wound up getting a win. Jericho needed this win. Jericho's lost so many matches over the last year, so many of these high-profile matches. He does need a win. I know it's the thing for guys like him and Danielson to try to elevate younger stars, but you don't elevate the younger stars if people know that you're going to lose all the matches against the younger stars. So this was a good win for Jericho, and good for setting up this rivalry, this continuing and ongoing with goddamn Don Callis. But before Don Callis could get out there, Sammy and Jericho hugged in the ring, just like Shawn and Jericho did at WrestleMania 19, and just like at WrestleMania 19, where Jericho, after the hug, kicked Shawn in the nuts. So was the same here. Sammy, just the same way, held Jericho's face, pushed him over the same way Jericho did Shawn Michaels years ago. And then Don Callis comes out. So apparently Sammy Guevara is now part of Don Callis' family, along with Takeshita, probably Will Ospreay in 6 months, and who knows who else is going to be part of Don Callis' family. But this was, the crowd really hated this too. The crowd really hated Sammy for doing this, and really hated the fact that he's aligned with Don Callis. So the Don Callis family, it's slow building faction that's potentially going to be very dangerous in AEW in the near future. We also had a match for the International Championship. Jon Moxley defending against Fenix. Fenix once again winds up with his feet hitting somebody in the crowd. At least it wasn't a dignitary this time. But if you know, that's backstory. But this was a messy match in some ways and a cool match in other ways. Fenix kept trying to do a lot of his flippity-doo-dah stuff, and Moxley would just shut it down with a punch or a kick or a forearm. The big note about this match, though, is the finish, that this is probably the worst botch 3 count I have ever seen. Fenix goes to deliver his finisher, which is a brutal finisher anyway, and it looks like Mox lands square on the top of his head, and he's probably out. And the referee goes and counts. He goes, counts 1, 2. He holds up for the 3. Mox, and he holds there for like a good, felt like an eternity, but it's probably like a second that the referee's holding his hand up, and Mox is not pulling his shoulders up. The crowd starts booing because that is a terrible botch to an otherwise cool match. Then they kind of, I guess they improvised afterwards. Fenix hit the move again, which made me kind of, I question that. Why would you do the move? If you think you may have injured Moxley, why do the move again? But whatever. Fenix does get the win. He becomes the international champion. Jon Moxley's reign as the international champion was cut very short. Now, whether or not this was intended or not, we don't really know. Whether this was an audible because Mox may have been hurt or they thought Mox was hurt. It didn't look like Mox was going to lose the match. And if Mox was going to lose the match, the ref should have just counted 3 the first time instead of having him take the move again and then to count the 3 count. But whatever. We'll find out over the next couple of hours what really happened. According to people that were in attendance, Jon Moxley was not severely injured. He got up and his legs and arms were moving, and he waved to the crowd, so apparently he was okay. Probably got his bell rung. It was a little scary seeing that. We've seen this many times before. I would kind of like it if some of these guys would stop getting dropped on the head sometimes. I mean, once in a blue moon is for effect is cool, but all the time you're going to get injuries. It happens. Fortunately, it doesn't look like, as of right now, that Mox got injured. The AEW Women's Championship match, and AEW Women's Division gets so much flack, but I gotta say, this was an entertaining freaking match. The Outkast split up. Saraya, the AEW World Women's Champion, defending against Toni Storm. Yes, Toni Storm and her shoe, because
she belongs to the streets.
They booked so much cool stuff in this match. There's so many little spots with the hair, with the spray can. Toni teasing that she's going after Saraya's neck. Saraya selling her neck. Of course, we know that she was out of wrestling for a long time because of a neck injury, and they've been teasing this for a while, ever since really, I think, All In. And Ruby Soho's at ringside. She's trying to run interference for her buddy Saraya. And at the end, it wound up with Toni Storm getting hoisted on her own petard. She tried to win this match. There were a couple really, really good near falls in this match. The crowd was eating this up. This is by far one of the best AEW women's matches of this year, and definitely the best Saraya match she's had since she's come back to wrestling. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Saraya does once again retain the AEW Women's Championship in a very hard-fought battle against crazy-ass Toni Storm. I don't know what Juice Robinson and Toni Storm are drinking or smoking or whatever they are doing at home, that the two of them have seemed to have lost their minds, their characters at least. And Juice has lost his mind, and Toni Storm has lost her mind, but they are entertaining as hell. I absolutely love it. I hope they become an on-screen couple in AEW at some point in time, but Toni Storm's really come along. And again, like I said, the Outkast, who it took a long time for them to find something good outside of just being a Mean Girl crew, but this whole thing with Toni Storm, and I'm enjoying it so far. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere else, if it's got any legs on it, but Toni Storm, I think she's going to become a breakout star in not just the women's division, but AEW in general. Then we get to the big main event, and leading into the main event, we had this whole thing with Roderick Strong. He's in a hospital. Adam Cole went to visit his friend, and then Roderick Strong on the worst sounding bed ever, as he cranes himself up and tells Adam just to go ahead, because Adam's got to be there for MJF, just whatever. And we all know what's going on. Roderick Strong is so funny, being the ultimate gaslighter and the ultimate simp, according to MJF in AEW. It's a stroke of brilliance that a lot of people are not appreciating what Roderick Strong is doing right now. It's some really good stuff. However, the big thing was the AEW World Championship being on line. MJF defending in his hometown with every sports team that's ever possibly could be associated with the New York tri-state area. And in his outfit, the logo and everything else, he comes home a conquering hero, the World Heavyweight Champion MJF defending against Samoa Joe. Of course, they made allusions several years ago with NXT where Max was an extra and Samoa Joe bumped into him on the way to the ring, so that was pretty funny. This match didn't start out well for Max. He gets dumped on his neck really early in the match, and he's selling it like he's almost about to die. Several times in this match, it looked like Joe was literally, they say Joe's gonna kill you. It looked like he was going to kill MJF. There was a pile driver on the floor, which it's not a concrete floor, but it's like big mats on top of hard that AstroTurf they use for the tennis matches, and underneath that is just ground. So that's not as bad as concrete, but not better by all that much. And that looked like a nasty pile driver that MJF took. He got Uranagi through a table. He got his butt kicked. He almost got choked out a couple times. But Max said he guaranteed that he was going to choke Joe out in this match. And we know Darby Allin knows this, and that damn side headlock. When MJF makes a prediction, it's a spoiler. He's like that. Him and Heyman are like that way. Adam Cole comes down to the ring when it looks like that MJF might not survive. He might pass out in this sleeper hold that Joe's got him. Adam Cole, he's a little bit late. He almost injures himself jumping to the ring. Adam Cole did, because he came out late. But he convinces Max. He gives Max the encouragement to come back. Max makes the comeback. There's an interesting ref spot they did. The ref didn't get bumped. He jumped out the ring and then feigned hurting himself. So the doctor was taking care of him while all the shenanigans were going on in the ring. And the shenanigans, after MJF tried and didn't succeed with using the Dynamite Diamond Ring, he did succeed with an old move we saw from the old can't mention that name anymore, that CM Punk match he had in Chicago where he beat Punk twice in the same night. Same kind of thing here. He had a little rope or chain or whatever, wrapped it around Joe's throat, and then hit it with a sleeper, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do. He choked out Samoa Joe. Even though he did it illegally, he is our scumbag, and he is still the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. After the match, Samoa Joe extends his hand for a handshake. MJF kind of, the crowd's not buying it, but it was legit. Joe he cheated a lot, and Max won. That's the end of the story. Max choked him out. Max did what he said he was going to do. And I think the thing is, he earned Samoa Joe's respect. They shook hands. Joe walked tall back to the ring. Adam Cole, even though it looks like MJF is really banged up, that neck is really bothering him, MJF is able to, in New York, in his home state, in front of his people, in front of his New Yorkers, hold up the AEW World Championship. So it was a great night for New Yorkers here. Eddie Kingston and MJF at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show. Now, the show, about 2 hours ahead of time, it was reported that there were only 8,500 tickets sold. Again, remember 2 years ago, it sold out at 22,000. Then they had 13,000 last year. So there is a law of diminishing returns on these Arthur Ashe shows. Although you wouldn't know it by looking at the show, because the way they shot the show, it looked like the arena was full. Now, I don't know if that's a lot of late walk-ups or whatever, but it looked like they probably got about 13,000 there. We'll have to see what the numbers officially are. Maybe those are comps. Who knows? That's a lot of comps, though. at the last minute to get in to get into that show. But you know, that's a topic for a different time. There's a lot to discuss with AEW in the post-punk era and what AEW is going to be going forward. But I think that definitely with this whole neck issue going on with MJF and the one with Roderick Strong, I think that's going to play into it. Remember, the other members of the Kingdom are in a fatal 4-way tag match coming up at the Rampage edition of Grand Slam, and the winner of that match is going to face MJF and Adam Cole for the Ring of Honor tag titles at the Wrestle Dream event coming up in just a couple of weeks. So more intrigue coming in with, I would say, one of the best storylines of wrestling right now, the bromance of MJF and Adam Cole. They've set up a lot of different little beats in it, and again, this is something I'm going to talk about in a different video as far as, there's been a lot of criticism lately, including Eric Bischoff, a lot of fans, Dutch Mantel, a lot of people have been criticizing Tony Khan for his storytelling chops in AEW. I'm going to give my thoughts on that in a new video. So again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when that video comes out. But overall, AEW Grand Slam 2023, I think this is the best of the 3 that they've had with the smallest crowd, which is unfortunate. But this show was solid from the start to finish. Yes, there were a bunch of botches on the night. Yes, the Moxley thing was a little scary. Yes, that 3-count botch will go down. That is... Botchamania is going to have a field day with this show, but I want to know what you guys thought of Grand Slam. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And until then, if you like this video, again, hit the like button and be sure to share it on social media wherever you talk about pro wrestling and AEW. And until next time, I will see you guys here for more news, rumors, and commentary on the Rant and Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.